We're back on the Exit 52 podcast. It is Friday, January 5th, 2024. My name is Jake Louque, and I'm joined on my screen by Michael Spenny Jr. How are we doing?
Doing quite well. I'm back in my house. I'm back with my computer. I'm back with my microphone. Have all of my things. I feel like for the first time, maybe since that like San Francisco preview we did. So I've been pretty rattled, running around different places, missing stuff, and feels good to be back home and ready to rock and roll here. And it feels good to be home, but it does not feel good to have this stupid Steelers team coming to Baltimore in a wet, rainy game and get off the hook. I'm pissed about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is kind of annoying. And we were kind of talking before we got going here that this rivalry has just been taken out to the woodshed and just run through it the last couple of years, because you'd think Lamar Jackson, the end of Ben Roethlisberger's tenure, that would maybe lead to a couple good games. There were a few, as we touched on, but they really didn't go the Ravens' way much of the time. And then 4 of the last 5 matchups, which we'll also get into, have featured somebody other than Lamar Jackson starting at quarterback for various reasons, some of them health. Another one being that RG3 started because they were in the exact same scenario in 2019 that they are right now. So, yeah, Tyler Huntley going to be getting the nod in this one.
Couple of announcements. Quarterback for this game will be Tyler. Backup will be Josh. That's the way we'll be going with it.
So John said that he wasn't going to be keeping it a secret from anyone. So he comes out today, Thursday. You're listening to this on Friday. And yeah, he just says it. Tyler Huntley going to be getting the go here, getting the nod. I think it's the right decision.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Like I said, if anybody gets a sprained ankle that you're relying on and can't play in the divisional round, then it's not worth it. If you lose one guy, it's not worth it. And someone probably will get hurt. Football is a high injury sport, violent sport, contact sport. So unfortunately, you do have to play this week 18 game after you've already clinched. And with that in mind, though, at the same time, on that same note, I do think that having all of the pressure taken off of the Ravens in this game, in this rivalry or whatever it is now, whatever you want to call it, I feel like makes them really dangerous. Like Mike McDonald, I'm sure they're doing some advanced scouting and stuff. They're going to have plenty of time off. But I'm sure when you don't have any pressure on it and you can just look at Mason Rudolph and this offense that the Steelers run, and there's a couple things I'll get into that they've changed, but you could just look at it through such a lens of like, come on, you're able to pick up on tendencies. They run such a simple offense. You should be able to capitalize still. And with the Ravens having a lot of guys down, we'll get into a little more, but last week, like they had so many guys down defensively. They had both of their corners and Kyle Hamilton out. They have other guys get banged up throughout the game. And I just think that their system is greater than their players. Like I do think that the system is communicated and effective and consistent enough and makes sense to the players where they can play confidently. And I think that's a huge, like everybody in the NFL can run fast and hit hard. Like everybody, preseason or not, expanded roster or not, practice squad or not, confidence and football intelligence are what really define guys. And I think his system allows guys to play free. So there's a lot of exciting younger players that'll get a chance in this one. But man, I personally am sick and tired as a fan of the Steelers getting away with these seasons, getting away with their stupid fucking 9 wins and their bullshit and their good luck duck fucking Hodges that play in these games and win games and these little narratives that they have. And all the Peter Schrager, speaking of the guy with the face, Mason Rudolph, Peter Schrager, oh, watch out for the Steelers. Oh yeah, the Steelers are so good. The Steelers here, going through my notes, have played, I guess it's just busted wide open. Like they have fired Matt Canada in week 12. They have since played the Bengals twice with Jake Browning, the Cardinals, the Cardinals are feisty and whoop their ass. They played the Seahawks, who I don't think are a good team. I said that earlier this year. I don't think that they are good. I think they are the most 500. They're a Jeff Fisher team. They're the most 500 team possible. They have a little bit of talent. They have a little bit of like emergency issues and run defense and things like that. They have also played the Patriots, who they lost to. Like the games they've won are just absurd. They beat 2 divisional opponents in the Browns and the Ravens super early in the year. That is where I do think Mike Tomlin's a good coach, but they have wins over the Browns, Raiders, Ravens, Rams. I believe the Rams didn't have Cooper Kupp or Kyron Williams. and a couple other big injuries. The Titans, Packers, Bengals, and Seahawks. Like, I'm Jesse Pinkman. Like, they can't keep getting away with this. They can't keep getting away with this. They have to pay the Pied Piper at some point, and it is time on Saturday in the snow.
They're paying the Pied Piper in the way that like this keeps happening to them. I'm not sure what's going on with my video there. I'm good now. Thumbs up. In the way that this keeps happening to them, where they find themselves in this situation where it's winning in against a Ravens backup who have already clinched, and you've got to get a ton of help. They've been flirting with 500 for years at this point. This is not the old Steeler way. Ben Roethlisberger has talked about it. That whole culture, it's not gone per se, but it has suffered big time by their inability to replace Ben Roethlisberger. And I don't know, man, like when I saw Kenny Pickett sitting there, I was like, they're going to go and get that guy. And I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. I thought he was going to be like Ryan Tannehill, best case scenario. It seems like he's not Ryan Tannehill, and he also maybe doesn't have the mental fortitude that Ryan Tannehill proved himself to have, at least quite yet, with the refusing to go in and back up Mason Rudolph, who, as you mentioned, is going to be starting in this one. But yeah, man, if they want to win this game, like, whatever, go ahead. And Mike Tomlin can have his little, oh, well, they don't play a full 4 quarters. They're gonna burn the house down. Like, cool, man. Have all your little quotes like that. Sit there, flirt with 500. When the Ravens have had Lamar Jackson healthy for a full season, they have been head and shoulders above the Steelers the last couple of years. And I know that it's a results-based business. That hasn't been the case the last couple of years for, the most part. And in the head-to-head, it's not great. But, like, if they want to get in, I'd prefer that. I'd rather see them in the playoffs than the Buffalo Bills. You can throw the rivalry out the window for the time being. I hope it comes back strong. This is always going to be my most hated franchise, with respect, of course. But it just doesn't move the needle for me right now at all.
It doesn't. And they are still just a stupid, stupid team. I only clip one play for this one, but I've labeled this play Deontay Johnson.
Before we jump into the preview, can I do a quick little ad read here?
Oh, of course.
This pod brought to you, as always, and every pod really is brought to you by our presenting sponsor in Jimmy's Famous Seafood. And we wanted to give them a special shout out on this one. And we will going forward here for the next couple, because on Wednesday, January 10th at 7 p.m., our own Barstool Banks will be hosting a Q&A with the Ravens' Justin Matabike. This is going to be at Jimmy's Seafood at 7 p.m. that night on Wednesday. Tickets are available at their website, jimmysfamousseafood.com. So check it out. Ticket gets you an autograph and a photo op with Justin, and then VIP tickets get you priority seating for the Q&A. So just a quick little ad read there, but wanted to shout that out because they're a good partner of ours. We're hoping to do more stuff with them in the coming year, and all the stuff that Eric's already done with the Orioles players. Now Brian's getting in the mix. It's great to see. So wanted to quickly shout that out before we get into the preview proper, and go ahead with your clip.
That is awesome. I don't even know that was happening. So definitely go check that out. But I've labeled this play as Deontay Johnson Goof Pickle. I did not know that I did not know that this play happened. I had really, really, really no clue that this play happened at all whatsoever. And it just floored me. So I just didn't even know that this play happened. And I started watching last week, and I just can't believe that this team is what they are. They're absurd. So if you're not watching on YouTube, we would love if you could have a little bit more video content like this coming your way. But again, literally labeled this Deontay Johnson Goof Pickle. Johnson is at the top of the screen. The Steelers are going to run just a simple little tight formation, kind of isolated. This kind of summarizes their offense and what they've been asking Mason Rudolph to do as well. You're going to see Johnson just run a little out, and I think the same thing happens on the other side of the screen. And they haven't – this is atypical play action. Johnson, nice throw, ball's a little tiny bit behind, and just hands the ball to a Seahawks defender. Like, I've never – seen something like this in my life. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, this is it kind of feels like it encapsulates.
He just hands it to him.
I didn't really even get that on the first angle there. It was a little choppy, but that is incredible. I didn't know.
He just hands the DB the football.
I didn't know much either. That is fucking awesome. Yeah, that kind of feels like an encapsulation of their season. Johnson has had a lot of issues. He's had some, he seems a little disgruntled. George Pickens has been really disgruntled. He's definitely outplayed that at times. He had a big time dust up a couple weeks ago, and then he made that big play to win the game a couple weeks ago. So he's kind of started to beat those charges a little bit, but Deontay's had some tough moments too. And that just seems like an encapsulation of where their offense has been. It's just been a comedy of errors. we kind of saw it in that first game. They really didn't play that well. The Ravens, they had the 5 drops. It's been talked about ad nauseum. Don't have to belabor the point, but this, no matter what happens on the Ravens offensive side of the ball, and no matter who sits out on defense, which we'll get to the injury report, this is a coin flip game for me. Steelers are favored by 3.5, but I don't know. That seems a little generous to me.
Yeah, since they fired Matt Canada, I mean, their offense has been more effective. They have been playing a joke of a schedule, some very bad defenses, and teams that have key injuries, but they're 17th in EPA per play, perfectly fine, 12th in success rate, 14th in drop back EPA per play, which is good enough to get it done. That's all they've ever asked out of Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett, and really dating back to like the final 2 years of Ben Roethlisberger's career. Just don't turn the ball over. Like, we will run the ball, we'll play a dirty game, and we'll win more than we lose. They've run the ball a ton, removing kneels, sneaks, and scrambles. So they went from second in this, which was surprising. But once I removed kneels, sneaks, and scrambles, they have the 5th most rushing attempts, but only for the 10th most yards. Their rushes have only gone for a first down on 19.5% of those attempts, which I think is 24th. They rank 26th in EPA per rush with the 15th highest success rate. So they've been able to get like 5 yards on first down, 4 yards on second down. Like, that's what they hammer. They run duo well in some inside zone. I think that James Daniels and Broderick Jones, I think Broderick Jones has been a difference maker for them and will be a good player for a long time, but they love to combo those guys and run right downhill. Najee Harris has turned into a much more efficient runner, less bouncing outside or trying to create the big play. He was kind of like a slower Kenny Walker in ways, like always, always looking for that monster play, able to do a little bit more in the pass game maybe, but his footwork is more efficient, less steps, downhill quicker, more Gus Edwards-like. And other than that, I mean, the only thing that stands out of what has happened differently with Mason Rudolph is that he pushes the ball downfield way, way, way more. I think he was like around 19 or 20% of his attempts are over 20 yards, and Trubisky and Pickett both were towards the bottom of the league, minimum 50 pass attempts there. They still run vertical plane stuff. They suck in the red zone. They are horrible in the red zone. If they can't run the ball in the red zone, they stink on ice because their whole pass game is ISO vertical plane. The outs, the comeback, the hitch, and the go or the fade. And that really hasn't changed with Mike Sullivan, who took over for Matt Canada there. Last week, they went jumbo. They used 13 personnel. They ran the ball on, I think, 12 out of 13 plays out of that, and gained 75 yards and scored 3 touchdowns out of it. So their plan in the red zone right now is, like, people think the Ravens run the ball in the red zone. They are not throwing the ball. It's really weird. They don't use a lot of play action, which mystified me. Pickett, Trubisky, and Rudolph all are in the bottom 10 of percentage of their dropbacks that are play action, which is completely insane to me that they've always wanted to run the ball. Canada ran the ball. They're running the ball even more now and still aren't using play action, while Rudolph has been a little better pushing the ball downfield. So very peculiar to me. Did not make any sense in any way, shape, or form. And just a goof pickle offense. And Pickens makes his plays. Deontay Johnson makes plays. Freiermuth will rumble down the middle. Their offensive line is a little bit more consistent and congealed, and especially in the run game there. But this team, man, they lost to the Patriots and the Cardinals in back-to-back weeks, and they're like going to make the playoffs somehow. Like, late in the season, they're actually, no, I take it back. They're not going to make the playoffs. I'm extremely confident that they're either going to lose, or the other two teams, the Jaguars and the Bills, which will kick the Steelers out, will win. It's the football gods will not reward them for their efforts this season. I assure you of that. Again, they played Jake Browning twice. This is just the most Steelers team, I'll say, since Antonio Brown left and like Le'Veon left ever. The wins I already talked about. They sneak by divisional opponents. And Mason Rudolph is fine. Like, he's fine. The thing he hasn't done is turn the football over. He has 2 touchdowns, no picks. He does average a shitload of yards per attempt, probably because George Pickens went insane a couple weeks ago against the Bengals. Had like 189 yards or something like that. So my kind of thought is that if he turns the football over once, this will be a coin flip that very well comes down to, the end of the game. And if he turns the ball over twice, I think the Ravens embarrass them in the final week and send them home with their tails between their legs.
Yeah, he was definitely that kind of deep shot merchant at Oklahoma State, I remember. And, listen, still a young guy, still plenty of time for him to be a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson, and it could start this weekend. I see that you're preoccupied there, but your thoughts on that?
I don't know, man.
He's a young guy. Listen, I mean, a lot of career in front of him. This could be step number one. It was a minor setback for a major comeback. Maybe he'll win.
Who are you talking about?
Mason Rudolph.
Oh, he's the guy with the. I mean, he's the guy with the face. You said that you don't feel that way anymore. I do. He's the guy with the face. I don't know.
He's absolutely hateable. Like, I'm with you on that. Well, I thought you were talking about Schragbomb when you were saying that. Our guy Schrags.
No, both of them. Those are two guys with faces.
He does have.
They are the guys with the face.
Mason Rudolph does have a face, and we also have a little bit of a beef with him because your guy, and I guess now both of our guys, Jake Funk, a little bit of a history there with Jake's fiance and Mason Rudolph.
Despicable, absolutely despicable.
I know the franchise like that one.
She's laughing right now because she doesn't know that, I don't think. But yeah, they dated as well. So this is a rivalry game. The Ravens might want to put Jake Funk at safety for this game.
Yeah, I think so. Get him out there, maybe let him lay the wood on him a little bit, maybe get some helmets involved. Who knows what could happen?
Who absolutely knows? But I just think that I will say for the record, I did have Mason Rudolph rated higher than Josh Rosen. I had him rated higher than Josh Rosen. I was right about that one.
Yeah, you were right about that one. Jeez.
He's hung out a little bit longer. So at the same time, I was super high on Najee, and he has not been quite as efficient as I thought he'd be. But nonetheless, I think that when you go look at the difference he's made by just not being a goof pickle, it's huge. And that's what has gotten the Steelers in this position, beating teams that, I guess the Bengals should have beat, but then going to Seattle in a tough place to play against a team that is fighting for the playoffs, I think is somewhat commendable. And he just understands, throw the ball away. I suck.
Solid, yeah, he's got solid pocket presence. He's got a good arm. It's it's better for you than this Kenny Pickett, who's this lo-fi Derek Carr, who's just got nothing going on. Mitchell Trubisky is going to have 3 plays a game where you're just what the fuck are you doing? That was catastrophic. It's a little more stability, I think is the word I'd use.
Yeah, and he looks just absolutely awkward when pressured on dropbacks here. Let's see. I think he is. Why am I having weird data come up? I don't know. Mason Rudolph is very awkward when he's pressured, but he awkwardly fires the ball to the side. It's kind of like young Joe Flacco almost. When Flacco would look all goofy dancing around and would just get the ball out of bounds a lot more than previous Ravens quarterbacks would. So been a little bit better there. Under pressure, he has not been horrific. He has not committed a turnover-worthy play under pressure. It is only 59 dropbacks, but he's been under pressure on 23 of those and has completed 60% of passes. So, I mean, he just throws option routes and hitches. That's what their offense is. They'll run a couple slants, a couple posts. He'll throw some of those lollipop balls. I just remember him having so much more zip at Oklahoma State and such a big arm to James Washington, also former Steeler, and the rumors of just what a quarterback. Now that I think about it in general, in the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers, we got him and James Washington. This duo is going to light it up, and then Rudolph ends up somehow lingering as the third stringer for multiple years. Loses out to Duck Hodges at one point. Has Myles Garrett dent his head in, and somehow is back and
he had the big concussion too. They had to cut his face mask off, and that one thing. He has kind of been through the ringer here.
Very interesting career player, and just fits into what the Steelers before Roethlisberger had 1,000 straight Mason Rudolphs. It was Tommy Maddox, who did have some success, Cordell Stewart, Charlie Batch is in there at one. They have had Mason Rudolph at quarterback for a long time outside of Ben Roethlisberger, who of course was also there for a long time. But the thing he's doing, like I said, is just not turning the football over and running the ball, and then they go play to their defense, which has been able to be a little tiny bit better. Rotating, Patrick Peterson been playing some safety, doing some of those things a little differently. TJ Watt continuing to kick the door down for every, little half sack he gets after 7 seconds or whatever the hell he does. But the Steelers defense, very different from the Ravens. They run a lot of cover 1 and cover 3 and a little bit of cover 2. They don't use quarters. They'll blitz a little tiny bit. And I don't know, man, I would just love to see this be the Trenton Simpson, Laquan Treadwell game. I think that's what I want out of this game. I want to see Trenton Simpson, who will get a big chance against that Steelers offense. He sat behind Patrick Queen, who couldn't be a better example of what Simpson should do with similar, at least combine athleticism, somewhat similar frame, was asked to do some similar things in college, a little bit, man coverage and blitzing. And, the thing that stinks for him is, I imagine Michael Pierce isn't going to play much in this. I imagine Matabike is not going to play much. Maybe Travis Jones plays a good bit with Broderick Washington and Brent Urban or something, but going to have those blockers. I talk about how they like to run downhill. Those blockers are going to be in your face. They want to get on those linebackers, and it's going to be a can you shuck and shed and go make a play game for Trenton Simpson there, and a couple other fun Ravens that'll get a chance in this one.
Yeah, no, I think it is kind of the chance to step up game. It's kind of the you would have these games in high school where you get the guys off the bench that everyone's cheering for them when they make a big play. Definitely wasn't me coming off the bench and sinking a 3 in everyone's face on my one attempt of the night on senior night, and just bringing the roof down in a completely they mean well for you, but it just kills your soul a little bit that they're cheering that hard for you to score 1 point on the season or score 1 3-pointer. But definitely not cutting deep in any memories there. But I guess we can switch over to the offensive side of the ball, and could have even opened the show with this a little bit. It's relatively significant news. Ravens signing running back Dalvin Cook to the practice squad. I think the practice squad minimum fee or max fee is $20,000 and $600 for agreement, and then it can be just minor escalations as he gets elevated up to the roster, which you'd think he's going to be. He's probably not going to play in this game, having just been signed. So I don't think we'll be seeing much of him, but we can touch on that a little bit. And then just what do you want to see out of this offense that is going to be piloted by Tyler Huntley yet again in this big rivalry game?
Well, it'll be fun to see what Huntley can do against the blitz. Definitely a shortcoming of Greg Roman's offense was not feeling super prepared there, getting the line a little bit later and not being able to kind of sniff that out, especially in games at home. So what are you going to have to work with? I would think Bateman maybe plays a bit in this one. I don't know about it. I guess Aguilar plays, Treadwell plays. Tylan Wallace is on the injury report. I can't remember what he was listed as. I guess I can pull up the PFF green line here and see if that's on there. But that's kind of the crew. Charlie Kohler going to get a ton of run. You hope that Isaiah Likely doesn't play very much in this one because, man, oh, man, would it be fucking stupid to have him sprain his ankle and do it in this stupid game that they have to play at this point. And I think you just want to see the Steelers blitz a little bit more than average. They sim pressure a little bit more than average. They stunt a little bit more than average. So that is the one thing they do that is similar defensively. Pressure wise, they want to be aggressive, I guess is the best way to put it. In terms of the injury report here, Minkah Fitzpatrick questionable. Roberts questionable. Cole Holcomb on IR. DeMonte KZ on IR. I don't even remember what's up with that. They lost Quan Alexander, so their linebacker play is suspect at best. You mean Melvin Gordon and probably Dalvin Cook. I think you just let Dalvin Cook play in this one. Get every chance in the world. We know Lamar Jackson will not be playing. Obviously, Odell Beckham will not be playing either. So offensive line-wise, I think this is a great game to get Falele reps. I guess McCary will probably take over most of the duty. I don't foresee Ronnie Stanley playing a lot. And with that, TJ Watt, this is a classic spot for TJ Watt to go stat pad. Like, this is the ultimate matchup. Daniel Falele, who struggles with a little bit more of the bendy guys that can run around the corner and is a little high cut for TJ Watt to just go run around and go get his 3 sacks. And then everybody cry if Myles Garrett wins Defensive Player of the Year because TJ Watt got more backup tackle sacks in a game where a team rested their players there. But massive for Charlie Kohler and a nice chance for Melvin Gordon, who got a touchdown last week and I think has looked really nice this year in some limited opportunities to rumble. And you'll see Laquan Treadwell, I imagine, and if Tylan Wallace can go, get that chance to put that full tape out against a team that's trying to make the playoffs. And Tyler Huntley is a free agent, so I don't think he's going to be taking this one lightly. He's looked pretty sharp in the few passes he's thrown this season. Has gotten the ball out pretty quick and thrown some nice balls into the end zone. And has been playing with confidence. And you see in the Ravens Wired that Lamar kind of runs around the locker room with him. At the end, they're like, oh, Lamar Jackson, 5 touchdowns. And he was like, Snoop, 6 or whatever it was, and grabbed him and ran to John Harbaugh, and they like collected the game ball together. So I think he's got confidence, and underrated kind of free agent game for him and a couple other guys looking around. So it's dangerous. When you play a team that has nothing to lose, it's very dangerous. They don't care about failure. Does Tyler Huntley really care if he throws a pick? Like, he's thrown 5 to the Steelers already in these games he's played. Does he give a shit if he throws an interception? No. They want to make plays and have fun. They're at home. They get to start at home, and they're feeding off a team that's 13-3. We watched this happen in 2019. We watched them go beat that Steelers team, who I think was eliminated from playoff contention already, if I remember correctly.
I think they had an outside shot if they won that game, but they did not.
Which is kind of what this is. I think ESPN has them with a 26% chance to make the playoffs. They need to beat the Ravens, and then the Jags have to lose to the Titans, which I'm not counting that out.
Yeah.
And then the Bills-Dolphins, which I don't know. I said on this podcast a couple weeks ago, I think that the Bills win that division, and here we are. So I think the Bills take that one still. But I don't know. Dangerous team, and I would like to see the Ravens just have fun. Do stupid shit, flea flickers, freaking throwbacks, bust open a bag of tricks, and have a lot of fun. So, I'm looking at Charlie Kohler. I'm looking at Daniel Falalele. I'm looking at Trenton Simpson, Laquan Treadwell, Tylan Wallace, who probably has a ton of confidence right now, laid a huge block too for Justice Hill, like we talked about in the jumbo set. So I don't know. I would love to see them sink the Steelers. We didn't even talk about the weather, which we usually do to start, but it's supposed to be sleety, rainy, snow throughout this game. It's supposed to be around freezing. And
high of 36, 80% precipitation.
Yeah. So the worst, I think, playing in snow, at least in my experience, was 1,000 times better than playing in cold rain. Cold rain sucks. It soaks you and is so much, it genuinely chills you to the bone way more than snow does. Snow kind of just gets your skin cold. Rain soaks your soul and your spirit. So it's going to be messy. Like, this might be the messiest game ever played. Again, the parallels to 2019, if they're not there for you, that game was a downpour.
I remember a 2017 Colts game against Jacoby Brissett where they're like driving down the field. It is dumping just buckets. The stadium had like halfway emptied out at that point. Still a competitive game, and people were just like, "Yeah, I'm good." And the Ravens like made a play at the end to win. And I had
a recovered fumble for a touchdown.
Yeah, it was like a breakup on 4th down. I remember like all my friends that weren't Ravens fans were texting me like, "Oh, it's fucking bullshit. He got interfered with." And me and my brother and all our friends were just absolutely hammered by that point. Just like, "Oh yeah, we don't care." We just kept saying AFC North football over and over again because I think PMT had that bit going at the time. We just thought it was the funniest thing in the world. But that's neither here nor there.
Of course. So I don't know, man. I'm excited for this game. It's fun. I think it's really fun to watch these situations and not have to take it super seriously. And you have that kind of cocky arrogance as a fan where you're like, "Oh, well, we got the 1 seed." Like, "Oh, the Steelers sweep. Well, we got the 1 seed." It's just, that disgusts me. Can't get swept this season by the Steelers. I don't think that's right for the karma of what the Ravens are trying to do in the postseason. I don't know how John Harbaugh is not like a jackal in the Ravens facility right now. I don't know how he isn't like foaming at the mouth up people's butts about this matchup and Steelers week. And, "Oh, you want to make a play. You think you've been practicing. You think you deserve more playing time. Well, here you go. Here's Steelers week at home for them to sweep us." And I think John Harbaugh's got to feel, how do you not feel a little embarrassed if you lose this game? What is that, 7 of 8? Is that what it is?
I think so, yeah.
I think it's either 6 of 7 or 7 of 8, something like that. And that is just flat out disgusting. So I think that, again, when the pressure is off of you like this, and it's really, I mean, you can only rest so many guys, which is the scary part, and the stupid part, but also a reality.
Mark Ingram tweaked a calf in this matchup 4 years ago, and he looked hobbled in that Titans game. So
yeah, they had a heating pad on him. He looked like shit. And took their 1,500-yard, 15-touchdown back was not able to. He shouldn't have even been playing, really. He shouldn't have played. And So if you want to learn something, if someone does get injured in this game, which I'm sure they will, don't play if you can't in the divisional round. That is another message that they should take away from that. So I don't know. I think the Ravens win. I genuinely do. Much to the surprise of people who have been listening to my predictions for the previous 17 weeks, or I guess 16 weeks. But I think the Ravens are going to win this one. I think Tyler Huntley is going to put on a little show against them. And like I said, he gets the ball out way quicker than Lamar does and is in a system where that is way more conducive now to success and should be a little bit better spread out. And I think that the preparedness of the Ravens and the depth that they do have is why they're such a good team this season, in addition to Lamar Jackson. And they have two sound, balanced systems that can really beat any kind of tree. And I think they have better answers for the blitz. And, I mean, shit, who's playing tackle? McCary and Falele, they play every game. They're active rotational players. So, I mean, what the hell, man? I guess we'll see maybe freaking the guy whose name I can't even remember from Oregon, the guard, Balualu or whatever his name is.
Sala is what people are calling
it.
Sala,
whatever his name. I haven't even thought about him.
Alumavai, I think is how you say
something along those. We'll take the L on that one. I haven't thought about that human in months. I've not thought about him in months. So he got reps. I mean, whatever. Probably not going to be great, but it's not as big of a disparity as I think people think it is. It is the NFL, and these guys have nothing to lose and money to earn. So it's at home. It's sloppy weather. Mason Rudolph is a pumpkin. This is the year of the backup quarterback. This is Survivor. Mason Rudolph, the third string quarterback, had his Cinderella game, time to turn into a pumpkin in Baltimore against the Ravens. It is absolutely time.
Are you saying, Mason, your tribe has spoken? Grab your torch.
My tribe has spoken.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm going to go Ravens. I'm going to go. I think the Ravens score in the 20s in this one. I think this is going to be like 23. I think this is a nail biter for the Steelers, like 23-17. And someone ridiculous makes a play again on defense. Like Jeremiah Moon makes a play in this one to seal up a win.
Well, that'll be a full circle moment for me. My guy, Jeremiah Moon, coming through for him. I'm going to go the Ravens win too. I'm going to go 17-14. Low scoring. I think Huntley might have one through the air, but it's going to be just crappy weather. It's going to be tough to get the ball around. But yeah, I just like the Ravens are just riding high right now. And like even their backups are looking good to your point. They've been rotating in. You can't sit everybody. Yeah, I think I just think that these are two teams just trending in completely opposite directions. For all the good that Rudolph has done in his short time there, it just it just feels like the vibes are really off in this Mike Tomlin locker room, and they can have their little winning season and they can keep that streak alive. That's great. I like Mike Tomlin. I respect him, but this is just a continued charade. And until they get a real quarterback in there, it's just going to continue. So maybe
and it's his fault. They've had joke offensive coordinators.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's certainly part of it. So, when they draft Michael Penix this upcoming spring, I'm probably going to be a little concerned. But for right now, nothing about this team moves the needle for me.
The winner of this, so it's 5 out of 6 that the Steelers have won. This would make it 6 out of 7 if they were to. And the winning team scored 16 points in 3 consecutive before the 17-10 game this year. The last team to score 20 points was when the Steelers scored exactly 20 points on December 5th, 2021, when the Ravens tried to go for 2 and throw the ball over TJ Watt's head on just the stupidest all-around play that's ever happened, especially lately for the Ravens. But no one has put up any points in forever. These two teams are just – it's like heavyweight boxers at the end of a fight where, both of them got knocked down and they just have nothing left in the gas. That's what these offenses have been. You
mentioned the record in the last however many games. The one win was in Pittsburgh with Huntley starting. He gets his bell rung and gets knocked out, and Anthony Brown comes in and doesn't throw a pass, and they just ride Gus Edwards into the ground. That's the one. That is how weird these games have been. They
have. So I think the Ravens are ready to break out. And before that, in December of 2020, prior to the last time someone scored 20 points, it was 19-14. Yeah. So the last time the over probably hit in this one, if I were to look at lines, was probably 11-1-2020, if I had to guess. They had the COVID matinee game with RG3, which I think was that game, right? One of those.
Yeah, they would.
19-14, I think, was the Trace McSorley Hollywood Brown touchdown.
They could have had another touchdown in that game if the Steelers weren't laying all over whoever the freak was carrying the ball there in the goal line before half and just laid down on them, just blatantly cheated. The refs just didn't do anything, and they go into the locker room. Louque Wilson dropped a touchdown.
Wow.
And yeah, just a brutal game that was. Thank you for that memory.
It was. So I think that it's time to repent, and I don't think John Harbaugh is taking this game very lightly. And I feel like there's a sentiment in that locker room that is quietly probably 10,000 times stronger than anyone would know that they want this game. And this is the game where you get like Lamar and Odell are like hyping guys up on the sideline, like goofing around, probably, partaking in some party favors at some point before, during, or after, eating hot dogs and shit too. So this is the go ball out young man game. And I want to see Trenton Simpson. I want to see Charlie Kohler. I want to see Tylan Wallace. And I want to see, I don't know, who else is there? Tavius Robinson. This is a big chance for him to get some third down reps and actually probably go rush the passer.
Darius Washington brought back into the mix. I think he's on the active roster for this game.
I think he started practicing, but they have 21 days from Tuesday to bring him back up, which who knows if they'll do or not.
Okay.
Maybe after this one. So some young guys. Tyler Huntley's one of the better backup quarterbacks. It's the year of the backup quarterback. And again, at the end of the day, it's the Steelers' third string quarterback. So
yeah. If this is it for Huntley, he's been a very respectable backup for a guy who came in as just like an undrafted free agent that like nobody wanted and the Ravens prioritized. Like they did a really nice job developing
someone who should have gone ahead of a lot of quarterbacks at the end of that draft. That was a really good player at Utah. And I think this system is I think we're going to see him get the ball out lightning quick. Unless the wind is bad and the precipitation's so bad they can't really throw, then maybe it's different. But if it is somewhat of a suppose legible game, then in terms of weather, then I think we see Huntley do some funny shit against the Steelers. And this will be known as the Laquan Treadwell Trenton Simpson game, who had a fumble recovery last week. There you go, Trenton.
Yeah, exactly. So young guys stepping up each and everywhere. It's great to see. And hopefully we'll see more of it. If not the end of the world. I hope
one thing we did not cover. Yeah. Pro Bowlers there.
I was going to close the show with that. Don't worry.
Oh, there you go. Go ahead. Sorry for stealing your thunder.
No, you take it. This is.
You got it. No. This is Jake territory.
Okay, so 7 Pro Bowlers. We'll see if I can name them off the top of my head. Lamar Jackson, Justin Tucker, Kyle Hamilton, Tyler Linderbaum. That's 4. Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen.
13 sacks.
Oh, of course. The Mata Beast, who you can catch at Jimmy Seafood with one Brian Black this coming Wednesday. So, yeah, there you go. I named them off the top of my head with a little help.
14. What I don't know. I'm saying 14. 4 first-time Pro Bowlers, and suddenly you took 2 Pro Bowlers last year. You took a Pro Bowler in 2020. Actually, 2, because of Matabike with your first 3 picks there. J.K. Dobbins. What has happened health-wise with him? Awful, but looked fantastic a lot of times when he played too. So suddenly that 2020 class, which has guys like Geno Stone, who probably could have made the Pro Bowl but didn't. I think some of the Ravens players are freaking out about that one. 7 interception. Has to be the most interceptions a player's ever had and not made the initial Pro Bowl roster, I would think. 7 picks. That usually, I think he was second in fan voting. So a lot of player and coach hate on Geno Stone, which I kind of get, but he had 7 picks, man. Just give the guy some flowers.
Yeah, at least give him like the alternate or whatever. And I'm sure like when 50 guys
he
back,
will
be there. Yeah. So it's one of those things. But yeah, I mean, and also like for all the hand wringing about that 2020 class at the time, like just another data point that we can, kind of maybe circle back on. I'm sure we won't. Let's maybe just not judge a draft class like even 2 years in. Give it some time.
It does. I think all of those guys still in the NFL, right? Like all 47 players they drafted that year. What was it? 12 guys they drafted, something like that?
I mean, and you look at that 18 class, Zach Sealer, I guess it is. And then, Anthony Averett's like a quality player. Like they're drafting quality players every year.
And so the narrative that like the gap has been closed on the Ravens and I think the other thing here, when we talk about drafts and draft picks, you have to develop guys, man. Like, they have to develop. That 2020 class, why did they need extra time? Probably because they drafted during a COVID year where there's no training camp. And we see Patrick Queen now, who, I know you said, it definitely brought the goosebumps out for me watching the video of Eric DaCosta telling him he's a Pro Bowler for the first time and how emotional he was, because that guy was the 7th youngest player to ever start an NFL game at, I think, barely 21 years old. Maybe he was still 20. He comes after CJ Mosley, who came after Ray Lewis, and the Ravens had a major issue at linebacker the season before. They had to go sign those vets in 2019, Bynes and Fort, and had big shoes to fill, didn't play a lot in college, and gets drafted in the first round. You remember Joe Ortiz said, well, the reason we drafted him is because if he stayed at LSU, he would have been a top 15, top 10 pick the next year. So we got him a year early. They wanted the development early and fed him to the wolves. He got torn up as a rookie at times and definitely went through the ringer, was young. I think he would say that he was, not mature yet. I don't know if he would say he's immature. He was just a kid. He's the 7th youngest player to ever start. He's starting in the middle linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens. So for him to make that was incredible. I thought it was hilarious how unaffected and unbothered Kyle Hamilton was.
Yeah, that was just like, that was the most like, oh yeah, of course. Like, yeah, that's like that. When I say Kyle Hamilton, like things just kind of come to that guy. Like good things just kind of happen to him.
He had like the power stance and was just kind of like had his arms folded. Was just like, I guess this hasn't hit me yet.
He looked more.
He's the type that would be like, it'd be crazy is like if I also made the NBA All-Star game.
Yeah, wouldn't it be gangster if we scored a shot? He looked as jazzed up as I've ever seen him. Like before, more than any of these accolades that he's gotten, more than any of the plays that he's made, maybe like one or two. He looked more jacked up in that commercial that he did with Kyle Van Noy with the wings and the bounty. And
boy, was that bad of a clearly they're like reading from a piece of paper that's right off the screen there. Boy, oh boy, was that an awful commercial on his Instagram there. But hey, get your paper. He's about that paper.
Yeah, there you go. The wings and the bounty.
The wings and the back. And then Kyle Van Noy, who has like the most dude monotone I've ever heard in my life. He gave a little pregame speech though and didn't sound like that at all, which is funny.
Yeah, I think guys, when they get out there and they start yelling, like you definitely get it. Like Lamar's cadence doesn't sound like his speaking voice at all. Like when I posted that video of him like yelling at Zay Flowers that you actually spotted for me, credit to you on that one. It is pretty jarring. Like when they're in the heat of battle, they just couple octaves up.
Especially in football, where it's 4 seconds of car crash. Like basketball, you might hear like like a get off me or something like that. But in football, you're like, those will come out sometimes too.
Yeah. Shout out to Marshall Yonda. You want to go for it? Yeah. Howard Dean scream vibes there. Yeah, exactly.
So go beat the Steelers. Steelers week, not taking it lightly. Backup quarterback, Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley. Respect him over Mason Rudolph. I'm taking the Pro Bowler over the non-Pro Bowler in this one.
Love it. Okay. Is that all we got?
I think that's all we got, my friend.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning into this preview. Obviously a little bit of a weird game to preview with all the people in and out of the lineup and all that kind of stuff going on, but a fun one nonetheless, a rivalry game. So get out there to the bank if you can. It'll be
tickets are going to be crazy cheap. If you go to that game, DM me on Twitter, come sit in my section. I'm sure it'll be empty. And go to that. If it's $20 and you're like around the area, just go to the game.
Yeah, I won't begrudge you skipping this one at all, but I think it will be a fun kind of raucous environment if you do go. So yeah, if you get a wild hair, get out there and have fun.
Do not sell tickets to Steelers fans. Sell them on Twitter to Ravens fans.
Yeah, I mean, but if you do, that would be quite a sight to see them lose to Tyler Huntley and have their playoffs hopes crushed. Like that video that goes around every year when they're sitting there watching the Jumbotron as CJ Mosley picks Baker Mayfield off and they're walking off the field, and the Pittsburgh Steelers would like to thank you for it. Just one of the all-time great videos. So hopefully we get another one of those moments this coming weekend. Thank you guys again for tuning in to this preview show, brought to you as always by Jimmy's Famous Seafood. One last plug for Brian's Q&A happening Wednesday night at Jimmy's, 7 p.m. Hit up their website to get yourself some tickets. That's going to be a good time. Shout out to our other sponsors, Fed Thrill, Black Eyed Susan Spices, promo code EXIT52 for a little bit of a knockback on their pricing at their respective websites. Check them out. Check us out on social media at EXIT52 Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I am at Jake Louque, Louque. He is at Ravens 4 Dummies. That is the number 4 in the middle there. Brian is at Barstool Banks. Eric is at EDITTI22. Taylor is at Taylor Smythe 10. Those guys actually have another little pod, a little OG3 chop session out today on your feeds live now. So go and check that out. They had a fun little Ravens chat, did a nice starting 5 of prodigies. So go and give that a listen too. And I guess in the meantime, we will talk to you guys.
See ya.
Arrivederci.